Hey guys, Jesse here. I just wanted to talk about a few things like I usually do. Um, so I've been on Dueling Network a lot lately and dueling people and stuff, and testing for regionals this weekend. And there's just a few things that I keep seeing these patterns in, and I just want to explain to people, what you should and shouldn't do for these kind of things. One of the main things, like in any game, know the rules of the game. Okay, so many times people don't know what priority is. And priority is so important in this game. It's crazy important. Um, Priority can win you a game, or lose you a game. I mean, it's really important. You have to know what priority is. I'm not going to go too much into it. Just go to the rule book. It's in there. Okay. If for me, it was a little difficult to understand at first when I started learning about priority. But when you read about it and you go to the forums and look up some examples of cards that get priority and don't, and situations in which you do and don't get priority, then you'll start to understand it because it is really important that you know what priority is in this complicated ass game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, and then also when it comes to that, when you're dueling, make sure that you read all the card effects. Okay, if you go to a regional or a local tournament and you're there to play some serious Yu-Gi-Oh, read. If you don't know what the card does, read it. Read every card. Don't take your opponent's word for it unless you guys are friends or something. Don't ever just take your opponent's word for it and say, okay, that I'm sure that's what the effect is. Look at the card and read it. I mean, really look at it. I mean, I've had friends lose duels because they didn't look at cards. Like someone mind controlled my friend's lava golem and then sunk it with formula for level 10 into what's his name? The level 10 TG Synchro. I forget his name right now. Blade Blaster. They sunk it a TG Blade Blaster. Now, you can't do that because Blade Blaster says you have to use synchro monsters to sink him. You can't use any monsters to sink to Blade Blaster. You have to use one tuner synchro and one non-tuner synchro monster. You can't use um, a non-synchro. You can't use any non-synchro monsters to sink into Blade Blaster. And he lost the duel because of that. Because he didn't look at the requirements to synchro summon that card. So all those kinds of things are important. Monster effects, spell, read everything. If you don't know what it is, read it. I guarantee you that it will change the game and it will change your mind about whether or not, oh man, I should have negated that. I didn't know it did that. Well, you should have read the card. That's what happens. So read your cards, okay? Read everything. On Dueling Network, it depends on if you're seriously trying to test or not. But yeah. Or that brings me on to an important thing in this game: side decking. Um, Side decks are really important because there are a lot of really good decks out there. Okay, Planet Synchro is a very, very good deck. But every deck has its weakness. Every deck has something that maybe doesn't shut it down, but it really slows the progress. For example, Plant Synchro's worst enemy, in my opinion, is stopping special summoning, no special summoning, and skill drain. Those two things wreck plant decks. So if you're staring down a Fossil Dyna and you can't attack it, or you're staring down skill drain and your deck has no MSTs, that's when you go to game 2 and you side deck. You side deck all your MSTs and maybe smashing grounds or something, whatever you feel like siding in to get rid of those problems. But you can't get rid of those problems if you don't have a side deck for game 2. And that's really important. Like I said, side decking is really, really important. And side decking is difficult. At least for me, it's kind of hard. I mean, like, you have your idea and then you test it out and it kind of works, kind of doesn't. You have to determine whether something is situational or not. It takes practice. You see what's good and what isn't. It's a lot easier when you only have one or two decks. If you have like 4 or 5 and you're siding all over the place, it gets difficult to determine what sides really help you and really hinder your opponent. And that's the goal. Do you really want to help yourself, or are you gonna really hinder your opponent? Sometimes they're the same thing, sometimes they're not. So, but side decking is very important. I highly recommend if you're on Dueling Network and you have a few decks. You know, they have the easy rematch feature now, which is really awesome. And you side deck, side deck. Because I guarantee that if your opponent sides and you don't have a side, you're probably going to get owned because they have everything they need now to counter your deck, and you don't have anything just to maintain yourself against, something you already just matched up with. So please, try and build a side deck. Usually side deck staples are, if you don't have 3 MSTs total between your side deck and main deck, you should have them. So if you run 1 MST in your main deck, you should have 2 MSTs in your side deck. If you don't run any in your main deck, you should run 3 in your side deck, yada, yada, yada. Things like that. A lot of things that I side for are, most of my decks are, I side, because of who I duel, I side against Black Wings, and their clutch card, in my opinion, is Icarus. So I side in, another Starlight Road. It's also good against Gladiator Beasts. Pretty much anything that pops more than 1 card in a turn, you can use Starlight Road for that. You side in extra Starlight Roads. And you get, negating a Starlight Road and Icarus attack can be pretty devastating against Black Wings, because not only do you stop something where they had to sacrifice a monster, tribute a monster, but, you get the 25 beater out, and they can't destroy something else. So it's really good. And then there's things that, you have to side against your opponent siding against you. So in Fables, my biggest weakness in Fables is removal. Dimensional Fissure. That sucks. Dimensional Fissure hurts so much. So when I'm playing against a deck that I know can run Dimensional Fissure, for example, Heroes, Gladiator Beasts, my Watts can run Dimensional Fissure, I have to side in Imperial Iron. I almost always side Imperial Iron Walls game 2. Because now cards can't be removed from play. So if I see Dimensional Fissure, I'm set. I have Imperial Iron Wall. And then of course I side in my MSTs, so I can blast that also. But that's really important to not have my stuff removed. And a lot of times your opponent is counting on the side card that they put in to shut you down, and you need to get rid of it. And then there's decks that have real obvious side cards that you can put in, like Dark Worlds. It's pretty obvious that Dark Worlds have excellent, strong side deck cards like Eradicator, Epidemic Virus, Deck Devastation Virus, Ruins. Any decks with tuners, Synchros usually ruins all those decks. Eradicator ruins anti-meta decks, or anything that relies on spells or traps. It just wrecks those decks. But on the flip side, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, Macro, and D-Fissure wreck Dark Worlds. But of course, if they get Eradicator off on you and call spells, your D-Fissure's gone. So there's, things like that. There's always like a teeter. A tier of, who sides against who and what sides are good and what sides are bad. But for me, side decking took a lot of practice, and, even now, I'm still not too confident in what I side. Most of the stuff I like siding. I love siding crows, but the bad thing is you lose hand advantage really fast. So, and if you draw 2, 3 crows first turn, really sucks because you can't do anything with them. So, things like that. Also, what's important is you have to have a side deck so that you can side out cards that you don't need at all. I side out my Max C's against anti-meta decks because they're probably never going to special summon. So I don't want to have a Max C in my hand. I'm stuck with it. They're never going to special summon. I'm just praying for them to use Monster Born so I can chain it. So, it's really important to take cards out that you absolutely do not need against certain decks. So that's another reason why side decking is important. And if you're going to go for a side deck, go for full 15 cards. Even if you're not sure what to put in there, just put 15 cards in your side deck. Let's see. I wonder if I had anything else though. I think that's all I had to talk about today. But most importantly, please, guys, know the rules. Know the rules of this game. It's complicated, but it's really important. It's really important to know the rules. Read your cards and build side decks. Okay, it's important to build side decks. And even if you want your opinion on a side deck, and you go make a channel or a deck list, post your side deck on there. You know, that way people can critique your side deck. You know, unless you're not, you know, unless people who go to your locals are watching your videos and you don't want them to know what you side against them. But other than that, you know, post your side decks. You know, so that people can critique what you're putting in or out of your deck. And when someone's giving you advice, you know, take it. Don't just scrub it off like, oh, you know, I know what I'm doing. And like, maybe you don't. Okay, always take players' suggestions into consideration, because they might show you something that you hadn't discovered. So, you know, post your deck list. Okay. And that's pretty much all I had for tonight. I don't know if I'll make another video before regionals, because I have some time off this week and I have things to do. So, alright. Wish me luck this weekend if I don't see you guys before regionals, and I will definitely post a video on our regional recap. And thank you for watching. More videos coming to you soon.